Today, we are talking about transitions because transitions are a really important thing. And I did not do any transition from that story into this. I was just reflecting on my life. Sorry, it's been a long day. You know. It's been a long day. And so today we're talking about transitions for 0 to 5s. And it can feel like there's a lot of transitions for 0 to 5s to cope with. There are school, like if they're getting ready to go into school for the first time in the fall, that's so exciting. But we also have when you change house, when you get a new baby, when they get new friends, when they go into a new group in kids ministry. There are so many changes that our children go through, and how we help them transition is a really important part of parenting. See, parenting transition is about, my husband just came in, snuck an iPad and left away. Bye, I love you. Transition is about managing change, really, and our kids cope in different ways. And so I just want to start off reminding you, you are the expert in your own kid. You know if you have a kid who is super change averse or someone who just rolls with the punches. But no matter where they are, particularly with under 5s, it's important to help them feel powerful in the change. And so I just wanted to give you a couple of tips and tools, I guess, in how to help under 5s transition well and help them feel powerful in any of the change that's happening around them. As usual, I'll be sharing a bit of stuff, but really it's about great stories that you have that you would want to share and put in comments underneath. Or if you have any questions or scenarios that you want me to particularly answer, feel free to write those in. And after I pray for you, we'll answer any questions that come up. But one of the first things that I find really helpful if we know we're facing a change with our under 5s in particular is to put God in context of the change. I wrote the book Comfort in the Darkness because I wanted to answer the question, where is God in the dark, in the night, in dreams and sleep? And answering that question lays a big groundwork for where is God at night. And for our children, they also need that sort of theology of where is God in change. Yes, the book is on the list. There will at some point be a Comfort in Change book, but it will not be in any time soon. But in the research that I was doing about sort of looking for Bible stories that could explain change to children, I found it really interesting that we sometimes go for very narrow biblical stories of change. And actually, the Bible is full of who God is in change. And so if you're facing a new baby, a new location, a children's ministry, anything that's making your kids feel nervous about a transition, pick a story that helps them see where God is in change. So for instance, if you're facing a new baby and your family is going to massively change forever, then why don't read the story of like John 1? And there's this great story of Andrew and Peter, and they're brothers, and one of them meets Jesus and knows him, and then he goes and gets the other brother and brings the brother back so that they both can go on this adventure with God. And when you're having a new baby, you can sit and talk with your kid about what would have happened if he never went and got his brother. When you're an older sibling, you have such power to help bring them and teach them about Jesus. And how awesome was it that this older brother created this massive lifelong change for his younger sibling, and whoever is coming to join our family, you are going to be really significant in their life, and God has picked you to do that first. Or if you're having a new baby, look at Jeremiah 1 and all of the awesome things God says that he knows about the new baby. Like, we don't know about the new baby, whether you're adopting, whether you're fostering, whether you're having a birth child. God's the only one who knows all these secret, wonderful things he put inside of them. And he tells us he'll tell us secrets. So let's ask God, who is this new person? And how can we help them be all that God has made them to be? If you're looking at new locations, whether they're going to school or they're going to a new place in children's ministry, you can pull up the story of Joshua 1. The Israelites had been wandering through the desert, and then they're about to go into a brand new country that they had never seen before. And God told them a really strong encouragement. He said, be bold and courageous. And God had already prepared lots of stuff on the other end of that land. And their job was to just discover it and be bold and walk into it. And I wonder what wonderful things God has planned in the next place that we're going to go. And so when we tell these stories, it's not just trying to assure them that it's all going to be okay. Because while that speaks to their heart, it doesn't prepare them to feel powerful. And when kids are facing transition, particularly under fives, they want to know how they're going to feel powerful in the next stage. A second thing so the first thing, tell them where God is in the change. The second thing is to prepare them ahead of time for what they're going to experience. So often they walk into an experience they've never seen before, and they're trying to take on a lot of information. And so sometimes we tell them, you'll be going to the school and it looks like this, and we describe it with our words. But children find it hard sometimes to take your description and put it into a picture in their minds, partially because their brains are still forming vocabulary images, and their brain process is still working on taking a description and imagining it in a realistic way. But also a lot of the vocabulary we use, they just don't have that reference point for. So when we say there'll be lots of desks with lots of chairs, they have to rummage around in their head and try to find a picture of a desk and then put it in a room. And so that's quite hard for them, which is why sometimes our very careful descriptions don't help. And so you might want to do a little bit of internet research, a little bit of internet stalking, and take pictures, or take your kid to the place, whether it's a new children's ministry room, whether it's a school, whether it's the hospital where you're going to give birth, and take some pictures, look on the internet and download some stuff and say, we're going to go into a room, it's going to look like this, or we are going to see a new baby, and this is what they're going to look like, all squished up. And so it takes there are so many little things that kids don't know that the whole thing can feel overwhelming. And when we can give them preparation ahead of time, then they can begin to piece together the pictures. So the things that there are actual unknowns are reduced, if that makes sense. And then I also find it really interesting is that you can build into that not only what they can recognize, but what they can count on. Because whether it's new school, new baby, new anything, new children's ministry, there are things that is faithful. God absolutely will be there. No matter what happens, God is going to be in that room. No matter what happens, I'm going to drop you off and I'm going to pick you up. No matter what happens, you are going to be able to ask for help. And you can put in all of the things of where they can find faithfulness. When you walk into that room, if you don't know where the desk is, there will be a teacher there to let you know. And you can place for them where their yeses are, where their faithfulnesses are. God is faithful. I am faithful. Your teachers will be faithful to help you. And you can create those hallmark things for them to grab onto so they know what's next. So put God in the change, prepare them ahead of time as much as you can for visually so that they can learn to recognize. So as they walk through the halls, I know some people who've taken, this is the front door of your reception. This is the hallway of your reception. This is the front door. So even though the kids have gone on a visit and seen it once, it's hard for their brains to remember everything in sequence. So as they went through, they were like, click, 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 and just took some things so that their kids could recognize the route to their classroom. Whatever it is, create something visual that they can do, but also let them know what they can absolutely count on in terms of people and God. And the third thing is give them skills of how to engage, because just because they know where they're going to be doesn't know that they know how to be powerful in it. And I find that sometimes we focus on the activity rather than the skills they need. And it's the skills they need that will be there. So for instance, if you're having a new baby, we're busy reassuring them that we'll still love them, and all of that stuff is very important. But sometimes one of the things they're afraid of is just how are they going to hold a baby? And so practicing that skill can then make them feel powerful to engage with it. Or when they go to school, putting on their jacket so that when they go out to play, they know how to put on their jacket or how they can adjust the straps on the thing. Whatever you think will cause your child to be worried, you give them skills in that. Little things like how to ask for help. I found in working with children sometimes, if they've never been around a large group environment, they don't know how to ask for help, so they'll get more and more upset because they don't know how to raise their hand or to walk up to somebody and say, please, can you help me? And so with little tiny people like 3 and 4s, you can role play. You can play a game. You can play the please, can you help me game. And you can pretend to be someone who doesn't know, and you can walk up and you can poke their leg and say, please, can you help me? And then they can pretend to not know something and say, please, can you help me? And you can play this game of whatever it is, whether it's please, can you help me? Or how to ask someone to play with you if you're at school and you don't know. Whatever you think the little skills are that they need, whatever will be the barriers for them feeling powerful, to equip them in those little things. And that really helps. So where is God in the change? Prepare them ahead of time visually and let them know where the faithfulnesses are. Help them give new skills so that they can engage whether it is whatever it is. And then the fourth thing and last thing is to help them connect with God about it. Because they're going to be having transitions bring a lot of emotions, excitement and fear. And it's important that we help them connect with God in the excitement and the fear. Sometimes if we forget to have our kids chat to God about the happy stuff, then God becomes only the person that we talk to when we're having a bad day. And he's the God that we share with all the time. And so to help them chat to God about how are we feeling about the new baby. We're so excited. And we can make a noise to God. Give God a noise. Why don't you, in your head or out loud if you want, into your pillow, as we've talked about chatting before. Why don't you tell God, just between you and God, with a noise or a word, how you're feeling about the new baby, and let them squeal or let them be like, I'm so excited, or whatever, or I'm scared. But facilitate them chatting to God about it. What's one thing that you really hope will happen on your first day of your new school? Or what is one thing you're excited about going to your first play date at somebody's house with? Or whatever it is. Talk about exciting things and scary things and facilitate them doing that. We can ask God where he's going to be when we go to school and get those catching from God and read the Bible verses over them. But help them connect with God about it so they don't just know in their head the Bible story of who God is and change, but they actually connect with him and ask him questions and chat to him about it, so that transition becomes something they feel powerful in because we've prepared them for it. It's something they see God in because we've told them Bible stories about it. And transition becomes a place of connection between them and God because we've helped them find those words. Other tools that you can use are creating windows. You can tell 1,000 million stories of your first time of doing something and how you handle transitions. Creating windows into your life is really useful, and you could do that anytime. But also surfing the waves of their interest. That happens a lot with under 5s. All of a sudden they're obsessed about what kind of door the school will have. And sometimes we're like, don't worry about it, it'll be fine. And there's something about God, how God made their brains to work, that sometimes the interest that they have really is a way of them expressing their fear, concern. And so if they really, really want to know what kind of door handle is going to be on the door, then we'll find that out and we'll call the school office. Why not? Or if they're really nervous about, whether a new baby's, burp right away, and, we can find that out, and just feel free to surf the waves of their interest, because often it will be a little window into their hearts of how they're feeling about transition. What is your wisdom on this? Why don't you, in the comments below, add your stories of how you transitioned your children from new babies to locations to new children's ministries. What is your wisdom on it? And do you have any questions? I'm going to pray for you, and this will be your time. Feel free to just, receive prayer and stuff. But I'm going to pray for you, and if there's any comments or questions that you want to engage with, then Anna will message me. And otherwise I want to go, because this is just a quick bedtime drinks. But transition is hard for us as adults. And I love that you're here wanting to figure out how you can help your kids transition well. So let's pray. God, I thank you that you are a God who is in every transition. And I thank you that you are where we were and you are already where we are going. And God, some of our kids don't do transition well, and there's so much unknowns in front of them. And I thank you that all of the good stuff that you have waiting for them in their new place, in this new adventure, in this new location, in this new set of situations. God, I thank you that already you have plans to teach them and plans to prosper them and plans to give them new friendships and teach them new things of you. And God, I pray right now for wisdom beyond anything we have earned as parents, that as we sleep and as we think, you would drop into our mind ideas, that you would draw us to scripture, that you would remind us of songs that would help, that you would give us great ideas of how to help our kids chat and catch with you, that we may coach our children in transition, not that we would protect them from all of the stress, but that we may enable them to navigate it well, that they may feel more powerful, that they may feel competent and confident to negotiate this hurdle of life well, that this may be just one of many transitions that they leap over with you. So I pray that you would help our kids really sleep well. I just really feel that I just want to pray over our kids' sleep now. When our kids are going through transition, they need a lot more emotional energy, as do we. So God, I pray for really deep sleep for all of us, that as our children face these transitions, you would give them rest, that they may have the emotional depth and capability to handle these well, and that you would bring a real peace in our homes and in our hearts, that no matter what we are facing, you would really lay the foundation of peace that passes all understanding and that guards our hearts and our minds. In Jesus' name, amen. So is there any questions, comments, concerns, ponderings, heresy flags? If not, then know that you are much loved. Know that I pray for you a lot. And, idea from new baby from Lizette. Oops, sorry. I got my kid a toy baby of their own so we could look after babies together without worrying the real one would be accidentally dropped. Really good idea. It is really helpful. There's a massive fear that a kid has of damaging a new baby. When they can practice and feel like they're doing something, then that is absolutely wonderful. Great idea. Let's see, there's a question from Katie. Your 5-year-old son isn't ready for more structured learning in year 1. Ugh. That can be so tough. And I think there can be a lot of fear about that. A lot of fear about what will happen. Routine really helps him, so I'm worried summer holiday will throw him off. Yes, what I find really helpful is that because they're with us, we can help figure out what structure helps them. And so if you find routine really helping your child and summer holiday might throw it off, sometimes kids who love routine throughout the summer. I think for those of us who are anti-routine people, we're like, I just want to be free to hang out and discover what I do every day. But not everybody is that. And I find in my family and in other families that I know, having a structure and a routine for the day that's actually timetabled with actual getting to know you pictures. That was one time that I used to do in our family. Our family likes structure. I am not naturally a structured person. My family is a structured people. And so particularly when my child was young and didn't have quite all the reading, we would take pictures of all the things that we might do. And every morning we would lay out these pictures in order of what was our schedule for the day, and sometimes put times on them because there was that structure. And so you have this great opportunity. This summer holiday is your opportunity to think, what skills do I want to give my kid, and how can I help them flourish in structure so that the transition into the new school is with things that he already knows. So if you think visual timetables will help, create a visual timetable for your summers and then talk to the teacher. Teachers are really good about this. I've done this multiple times. I will go to the teacher and say, look, routine helps my kid and I would like to know what your routine is so that I can front load it at home and talk about it, and I can make things so that before we go to school we can talk about it. If you don't do visual timetables, I'm happy to provide one. And so whatever you think your kid needs, summer holiday is your fantastic opportunity to lay out a structure for your child and prepare them for the structure that they may have or may need. Another comment from Katie Kennedy, I always think that part of a transition is saying a good goodbye to the previous thing. Yes, we're going to talk about that in the older ages, of saying a good goodbye to that. And you're right, sometimes when children are looking forward to things, different personalities need different things. And you have some kids who are like, I don't even care about what happened before, I'm all about what's new. But there's some kids who really need to cherish what has just happened and allow ourselves to be sad about it. Sometimes we want to rush our kids forward through feeling sad. And I think, Katie, that's a really great advice, that to say a good goodbye sometimes means allowing yourself to be sad about it and taking pictures of it. I mean, it may be something silly to us, but really important to them. Sometimes we're transitioning out of toys and significant blankets and things like that. We really need to say thank you and goodbye and hold a mini funeral. Or, you know, I remember we were saying goodbye to a car once and we had to like stand and cry, and then we had to go all out to eat to celebrate with the money that we had from selling the car. We all had to toast the car. Like, you know, a good goodbye is an important thing. That's great advice, Katie. And Victoria says, what about ideas for day-to-day transitions, particularly unexpected changes in routine? Visual timetables and social stories don't always fit if the change is unexpected. Yes, I have walked through that many times. Sometimes kids just don't handle change, and these mini patterns of transition, how do we do that well? In my experience, I am not an expert in this by any way, but in my experience, there's always an opportunity to create change rituals, I guess. And so sometimes I have seen families whose children struggle with change, but sometimes they come up. For me, what we used to do was a visual timetable, and if we needed to change it, if something unexpected comes up, it wasn't that we then bailed from the whole visual timetable. We would come back to the timetable and say, the schedule changed, so it looks like this. And we would move things around. I had them on Velcro because time changed so much. And I would be like, this now, it doesn't get to happen. That's hard. How do we feel about that? And we talk through that. We'd say, now it's going to look like this. So our day looked like this and will continue to look like this. It's just that this has to change. So now we can see our day now. And that 30 seconds it took to do that helped transition the ritual. I found if I tried to bring it without doing the visual, then I wasn't working with the ritual and all chaos broke loose. If I took it through the ritual of the visual timetable, great. I know some people who have a transition song that they play, like a little dance that says, it's a change, and then they do a little change dance, and then they sing it down and talk. I know some families who do like a breathing moment where they go, change is a surprise, and this is how I feel. And so we sort of put our feet down and take a breath and do it. So I think it's about creating what rituals, what transition moments can we recognize it, acknowledge the feelings we're having, and restore the peace with the structure if you're having that. And the last question, how can I prepare my 2-year-old for an upcoming divorce? That is a really tough situation because there's so many unknowns in that for you. It's hard for you to say, this is what it will look like and this is what it won't look like, because there's so much going on. And so particularly with a 2-year-old who will struggle with the concepts of what is happening, I think really pushing into what are the constants, what are the faithfuls, your love for the child, and what your days will look like, because 2-year-olds will struggle to think of long periods, and so who spends what time with who and when you're getting them, that sort of, it doesn't help. But what happens is that we're always going to stay connected and we're going to play together, that whatever your patterns are going to be, talk about who God is in the change, and that God is the faithful one who is always there. And while lots of family patterns change, God never does. And you can talk a lot about God's closeness and God's companionship in that. And so it's really useful to do that and to create windows, I think, for you in the change. For 2-year-olds particularly, to say, whew, there's going to be a lot of change. And you know what I do? With this, with this divorce, family things are going to change, but I love always having a hug together and telling God how I feel right now. And you can create mini rituals that you can cling on to, so that whatever is happening to you emotionally, whether it's happening in their life schedule, they can cling to these moments that both you and your ex and grandparents and anyone else who's involved can do that. So within a divorce, you're creating patterns of life that everyone can join in, and creating something consistent and wonderful for your child. I just want to pray for you really quickly, the person who's preparing for divorce. God, I thank you that you are the God who is consistent and wonderful. And I pray right now for your wisdom and strength and your guidance for all involved in that family situation as they walk forward. I thank you that you are the God of wisdom, and that you can give wisdom to all involved with this family. Bring your peace and love into them. I love that you're asking the question, because if you're asking the question, then you're going to proactively be coaching your kid in it. And you're going to do great. I think we're taking August off, so I will see you all in September. Yes, because I'll be in America with my mom. Hi, Mom, if you're watching. And so we'll have August off. No drinks with Rachel then, but we'll be back in September with some new stuff then. So have a good time. Bless you. Bye. Oh, now I have to get really close while I flip it around and turn it off.